You're watching my favorite YouTube channel. It's Chillmonger, joined with Jaded Fanboy, Mia Johnson, Back of the Bus, Tim Possible, or Tim's Talk, right? That's your actual channel's name. And then ssjk.sanctum. If you want to check them out, their names are in the description. We were just talking here on the live stream on Saturday about Disney Plus and the way that they handle their series. I have a lot to get off of my chest on this topic. Mandalorian is the blueprint. It was actually the first one, and they got it right there. It's something with a season 2 with a continual story so that people can visit. New fans of or new subscribers to Disney Plus, maybe they were lapsed, maybe they remember Star Wars when they were kids, the casuals, they know that if they want to watch something Star Wars related, there's a series for them that doesn't just have like 6 episodes and that's that. Marvel, these things are like continuity is there, and I feel like that's such a good answer, good solution to the streaming thing. We all love streaming and binging from the Netflix days back in 2011 when we're like, I didn't watch Prison Break, let me check it out. Oh, this is awesome. Let me check out Heroes. Let me check out the other shows that, Breaking Bad, Walking Dead. How many new fans of Walking Dead came just because it was on Netflix and then they're like, oh, well, I can check it out on AMC now that I'm up to speed. Streaming is for binge watching is for continual shows and not the Marvel solution, the Marvel way of 6 episodes. And if you're lucky, we'll mention it in the movie, which is kind of what they went the quantity route. Now, Iger's in charge. Iger's got a position right now to change things around. It looks like he has changed things around. What should he do? If you guys have Bob Iger's ear and you want to tell him as a fan how to solve the streaming stuff, K-Dot, what would you tell Iger is the best way, the best route to take to improve Disney Plus's streaming?
The Star Wars and Marvel shows need to have a consistent quality. Now, I'm not talking about like writing, but the lowest thing is like the VFX, because I understand there's different divisions in these companies and stuff, but in no way should I be watching The Mandalorian with the effects they're doing. This look movie quality, like it looks amazing. That giant alligator thing, that's the alligator turtle that popped up in episode 1, looked amazing. The Krayt Dragon from last season looked amazing. Looked like something you would see in the movie. You get to the MCU shows and we go to like Hawkeye, the episode and they're doing a chase scene, and we just got some wonky looking green screen and stuff. It's like these are literally being made by the same company, like it
with the same technology, the volume,
same technology. Like, what's going on? Where is this disconnect? There's a disconnect in the quality of their 2 biggest properties for these shows. One is better than the other when they both should be just as good in quality.
But how about also the selection of stories that they want to tell? Mia, are you satisfied more so with what Marvel is doing? With everything is sort of disconnected because Ironheart isn't going to be related to Secret Invasion or Moon Knight or Hawkeye or WandaVision. Do you think that's an issue at all?
Yeah, to me, it felt like, as I was thinking about 2019, specifically Marvel at launch, it almost felt like we were moving in the same direction, at least with WandaVision and Loki. I thought they would all be tied to the multiverse saga. Falcon and Winter Soldier was kind of its own thing, but I dismissed that. And then when we got to all of the kind of stuff that we got last year with like Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, it just felt like a hard stop, because you were like, where are we going with this? They're trying to introduce all these characters and all these shows, and it's like, you kind of completely forget about what's been going on. In addition to just having so much to watch, that's just been my big problem, is you don't really get to savor stuff. You don't really get to enjoy the movies, the blockbusters, the shows, because it's like, okay, and on to the next thing. And you're like, wait, I was just watching Moon Knight. Now I got to go to Thor Love and Thunder. Now I got to go to Miss Marvel. It's just been a lot.
We could have the best of both worlds of having everything to watch in the quantity that they wanted, except you just needed to rearrange the timing of some of these. Imagine if WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness were I don't know, a month apart. That would have been a perfect time to do it. We got Ms. Marvel. We know that'll link up with the movie Captain Marvel 2. Imagine if we didn't actually see the Ms. Marvel TV show. They just sat on it and they just decided a month before the Captain Marvel movie comes out, we're going to have this happening on Disney Plus. We're going to let people, the anticipation build towards the movie. That all of a sudden, that's cool. That's like the presentation of it. Moon Knight didn't need to happen. You can produce these things, 3 years prior. That's fine. Oscar Isaac, here's your lines. We're not actually going to air it until Moon Knight appears in, his next movie or in the Blade movie. That'll be the lead up to Blade. If every series, can you imagine that had to do with the movie happened right before the movie, that would be just a significant, like, better way, and it would promote one thing would promote the other. What'd you say, Marcus?
I said that makes too much sense.
Makes too much sense. You can't have that happen. That's the Marvel.
Yeah,
Marvel's broken. Marvel needs to listen to me.
Because you guys both, Mia and Chill, said it earlier. Not letting stuff marinate. Think about it like this. Let's say if Aiden Ross streamed every single day at a certain time, always streaming every single day. People are gonna get tired of it at some point because like you are putting out too much. Sometimes you need to tease the audience. You gotta tease the audience. Like just imagine if Netflix, they could have easily if they wanted to just release Stranger Things season 1 1 year and then release season 2 the same year, like back to back. It's like gotta let some stuff marinate. You gotta spread that stuff out. Let us sit with it for a little bit, and it honestly helps the audience go back and rewatch it. Let them understand it. So when you get to your next season and stuff, you don't gotta you don't gotta really stress about them going like, you know, why is things like this, blah blah blah. You just coming out so much stuff back to back. We got no time to really sit.
That's a good point because I was kind of lamenting like with Quantumania. Usually when the Marvel movies came out, I would do like either full rewatch or semi rewatch. So I had like literally no time to go back and watch Ant-Man 1 and Ant-Man 2. I had to go and watch the Marvel Legends stuff that they put on Disney Plus, which is kind of like
clips.
Yeah, recap of those characters, which is good, but I guess it's like a necessary evil because I would have preferred to have watched Ant-Man 1, Ant-Man 2 over again just to get the full experience. But yeah, you kind of lose that now because your schedule is taken up with all the other stuff you got to watch from them.
And I don't even think those Marvel Legends recaps like recap enough because let's say you didn't go watch Ant-Man 2. Let's just say you didn't go watch Ant-Man 2 or rewatch it in a while. You watch Ant-Man 3. Well, we seen in Ant-Man 2, there's a part in the movie which totally contradicts Ant-Man 3. But if you didn't watch Ant-Man 3,
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about
like,
how
well, specific
Janet was willing to actually help
work on a quantum device, all that. Yeah. I'm not saying I didn't watch a Marvel Legends recap, but I bet it didn't recap that. Not saying it didn't do it because they didn't want people to notice that, but you got to watch the whole movie. You can't just really watch a little recap because they're only going to recap just the main stuff. But some things you like to talk about in these movies is the little stuff too. Like even the little details, not just the main details, the main stuff and those little details. Because both things help generate discussion in the movie. Like, you know, when the Batman came out, there was people literally just talking about, I like the way Robert Pattinson's boots hit the ground because that's to do with all the sound design and stuff like that little stuff. You know,
I don't want to keep repeating what's already been said. You guys went, and I agree with a lot of what you said. What kind of kept popping up to me when I was reading a lot about the cuts that Disney is making with their
how much $1 billion in debt are they? I heard it was like 119,
something like 120, something like that. A lot of billions, a lot of billions. But the thing that struck me is that early on, WandaVision, Loki, right? Mia has talked about that early on in the Disney streaming days. It felt like they were moving into the kind of like premium content of TV shows, your HBOs, your Showtimes. Like you're watching something that's akin to Game of Thrones instead of, you know, something that comes on weekly on network TV. And then slowly but surely, that's what it ended up being. It ended up being kind of like Arrowverse with a slightly higher VFX budget. You know what I mean? They have to pick a lane because they can do that. The superhero genre is flexible enough that you could theoretically work some of these characters into a sitcom-like format or just a short form television show format.
Not
but
sitcom.
You gotta pick a lane though.
But not like a set sitcom where the camera's stationed.
No. Not like a stage or anything like that. So, but like, look at Daredevil, right? Daredevil was what 35, 40 minutes an episode.
But what was his powers? Was his powers that he can fly and shoot beams? No. Use the appropriate superhero can have the appropriate budget for and have an entertaining show.
They need to pick a lane, right? No more of this 6 episodes, 9 episodes, 8 episodes, 7 episodes. Pick a lane. Make it the standard. Right, so we know what to expect from these shows going in, right? When you give us from 5 to 6 to 9, there's too much of a variance in there for the audience to have a level of expectation, a clear one at least. And then the second thing is, I think is killing them the most is the writer's room, right? Like, if you care about some of these characters that you're introducing, the very least that you could do for them is to give them a writer that gives a damn and cares about propping that character up. And I'm not saying that any of the stuff that we've gotten for these characters wasn't significant.
You're implying it.
Huh?
You implied it.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that when you seek to promote the aesthetic values or the cultural values or the gender values or whatever it is, before you tell the story of the character, it doesn't work. People don't accept the character. They resist it because it doesn't feel genuine and it doesn't feel earned. So they're doing not only themselves, but the character, the actual character, a disservice because you're not introducing the character in a digestible way to the audience. So it's not that stuff doesn't matter.
I feel that for Ms. Marvel, but I don't feel that it applied for like the other shows. But Ms. Marvel will certainly, it kind of felt like we gotta let you guys.
She-Hulk? You didn't feel that her feminist background or any of the pro-woman stuff kind of overpowered the character?
Yeah, I guess it did for that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's not saying that stuff doesn't work for some people and it doesn't, adequately identify or represent. It's saying if you're going to use it as a blunt tool or a blunt object in your storytelling, it's going to turn people off.
We got a female in the live chat who says there's no payoff in the MCU anymore for watching all of the content. The sweaties will always give money to the MCU. They're losing normies because they don't want to do stupid homework.
Well, the normies are leaving because the narrative is changing. And that's always been my thing with MCU shills. It's like, or even Star Wars shills. As long as everybody loves it, or at least the trades are on their sides, then it's okay to shill for it. But if the magazines start printing, negative headlines, if there's scandal, if there's controversy, if it's no longer the hands down popular thing to go with, that's when you see the dissent.
You make me think of Matthew Bologna, who used to write for Hollywood Reporter, and now he writes for The Puck. And he's kind of the guy who does the rocking the ship stuff. He's not your standard industry insider type of guy. You guys familiar with him? Or the guy from Forbes, Snyder, is it? No, something Mendelsohn. No,
Scott Mendelsohn.
Is that it, Tim?
Scott Mendelsohn?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's ringing a bell.
Yeah.
I like Scott Mendelsohn. And you said it so quickly, so it has to be him. Was Jaded gonna go? What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the thing that to help the problem was it was disjointed. The first season or like the first year, it was literally must-watch television. Like I wasn't a big fan of WandaVision. Like halfway through the show, I wasn't really interested, but I knew I had to keep watching it because it was necessary for the continuity of the show. Same thing with sorry
to interrupt you, but we got a super chat from Danny.
Money.
Woo! Thank you, money. He says that he's gonna watch 65 the movie, and I hope it's good.
I'll let you good too. But I'm gonna take my son to see that.
I've been hearing some things that it's not so good. I've been hearing that it was a waste of money, but I hope it's good and it's can promote a sequel. Maybe 66 is in the works in 64 years.
Oh.
That's what they do.
Let me know when it gets to 69.
Remember 21 Jump Street? Yeah, back to the topic, Jada, that I interrupted you while you were
Annie,
speaking.
I'm gonna see that
No
movie.
problem. Yeah, super chat to super chat. It was just that Falcon and Winter Soldier was must see. Even Loki, I wasn't a fan halfway through the show, but I knew I had to watch it. Mm-hmm. Then next year you get She-Hulk. Yeah, I didn't need to see that. You had Moon Knight. I didn't need to see that. It wasn't necessary. It was like either you have shows that are necessary to watch to be able to have the continuity that is the MCU, or you have throwaway shows that you can watch or not watch at your disposal. That to me is the biggest issue with the streaming service with Disney Plus. Pick one or the other. Either have it, or if you're going to have episodes that are throwaway, well, now that we know, well, then why do I need to watch the show then?
You don't have to do anything here in America.
Yeah.
Right, because that's
but with the Loki that you brought, okay, kid up.
Real quick, I'm at the good with Jade on it. Like, if you're doing a connected universe, each product has to matter. Every single one. Not to say that each product needs to be some end of the world type of event or whatever, but each one needs to matter. And Jada is absolutely right. She-Hulk, you do not need to watch that. You can watch it if you want. You have the choice to watch anything.
It was
or
important
whatever.
to see the Hulk, though. That was useful in the first episode.
Not if Mark Ruffalo doesn't want to come back.
That's chatter. That's just I'm trying to get more money.
But you see, because if this is a connected universe, everything shouldn't matter. She-Hulk does not really matter. It doesn't change that thing.
For the most part, it don't matter.
You can
They
skip
should have some
Night.
connective tissue back to the overarching narrative in the MCU, which is what at this point.
Yeah.
Even and look,
and the connection is a major issue when it comes to Marvel's problems.
Yeah.
And like I said, even with and just a little things, just each episode in each of these shows, like WandaVision, for example. I didn't really like WandaVision either, but you watch the show in full. You go back, you don't even need to watch the first 3 episodes because episode 4 recaps the first 3 episodes. Like 4 literally recaps the first 3 episodes. And the first 3 episodes try to do this premise of a mystery, right? A mystery that is spoiled in the trailer. A mystery of Wanda making this. It's like
you're right, yeah.
It's like there is no mystery behind this. Like everyone's like,
they didn't completely spoil it because they showed her in different realities. They showed her in the black and white and the color reality. But they didn't show any of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. They didn't show Monica Rambeau. Yeah. They didn't show anything outside of the Hex in the previews.
So and most people thought it was Mephisto.
Yeah, that was the thing about the first 3 episodes. The first 3 episodes was literally designed to have rabid MCU theories and thousands of.
I don't think it's designed. I think it just happened.
I stayed up to like 2 in the morning to watch those episodes. It was great.
Made everybody.
I'm not saying that they weren't good theories that wasn't interesting. I'm just saying it was literally designed to just go, okay, MCU fanboys,
but isn't that worlds better than hey, I know all of you guys hate this, so eat it.
Oh yeah, you guys in your cars make videos about women.
Infinitely better.
Yeah, like a lot of the stuff
says that Feige couldn't make up his mind whether Disney shows were must watch or not much watch.
I believe
we know that they were given a task from Disney. That's why I think happened because at Comic-Con he mentioned like 5 Disney Plus shows, and then like a few months later he's like, by the way, there's 3 more: Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, She-Hulk. Of the most that the 3 shows that had the least connection were probably Moon Knight because it was a brand new character, Ms. Marvel, new character, and She-Hulk, which was a new character. It was like, oh, you guys just need content, and that's how what.
Werewolf by Night, wasn't that Disney Plus too?
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy, Jaded Fanboy. Every time you speak, I get another donation.
Comes the money. Here we go.
He says here, did I hear S.H.I.E.L.D.? S.H.I.E.L.D. was, and thank you for the donation, Steve, again. S.H.I.E.L.D. was not canon ever. And then in comes Chloe Bennett with all her tweets.
It was canon for 3 seasons.
It was canon.
They went through Coulson's death. They went through Winter Soldier. They were involved.
They went through the breakup of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And how much time did the movies? When did the movies ever interact with that? It's just as disconnected as
they interacted with Nick Fury in Winter Soldier when he went underground. He went in Coulson before he went.
When did a movie utilize an actual TV character? Multiverse of Madness uses Black Bolt.
Wait, say it again. I didn't hear you. Say it again.
You're right to tell me that S.H.I.E.L.D. interacted with the movies, but the movies never said, by the thing, this thing that happened in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., this character from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., here he is. Or that, why is that blown up? Oh, you should have watched what Ghost Rider did in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There was never a line like that in a movie.
So
it's not connected.
But there's a one-way relationship that happens in the adjacent MCU within movies that they don't acknowledge either. Like they have constant fights in New York, almost every movie or close to New York, but none of the Avengers ever show up. Westview happened,
and it's a problem. Doctor
Strange,
and it's a problem.
So they don't,
It is a problem, but at least with Star Wars, correct me if I'm wrong, and Tim hasn't even gone yet officially, but when we see a character in Star Wars or an Andor or something, we go, that's from the movies, or the movies. Like there's more interaction. I feel like between the two.
Wait a minute, you think that little
Grogu is going to be relevant in the movie,
and you think that mechanic is going to be in the movies sometime?
Elimoto. It depends which movie and which time period that the movie takes place in. But I can say that with Grogu, who's going to live really long.
Years before Rey in that whole saga right now with Grogu, right? So the mechanic's probably not going to be alive. Din Djarin's probably not going to be alive.
unless they go back 30 years.
No, but what did you guys say? That a little bit earlier, you were telling me how Din Djarin is actually 30s, even though Pedro's pretty old.
No, okay. Well, then maybe.
Yeah.
Tim, what is your take on Star Wars and their streaming compared to Marvel?
I think Mando is like the Swiss Army knife, but the other ones not so much. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the writers were not actually fans, and you could see it in the writing and like breaking lore.
Oh,
and that's
kind
my
of
issue.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So as far as Marvel though, like after Endgame, I guess I have the Endgame post Endgame syndrome because everything kind of seems lackluster, and we're getting into like B, C, D, G characters or whatever that we really don't care about. And to me, it almost cheapens the character when you bring them to a streaming service. Not always, but like if it's like a new character like She-Hulk, maybe it would have been more well done if we would have introduced her in an actual Hulk movie and then gave her a spin-off on
How about if it
she
was
came
on
to
TV?
be or something like that.
At least introduce Jen before she even became.
Okay, but is it still high profile if the show was on television at 9 p.m. prime time Eastern?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I think so, and like more prestigious. And as far as like the money making, the movies are the actual money makers. That's part of why they're like in debt.
Yeah.
And then like more outsourcing, like they are outsourcing Mandalorian on different networks on cable or whatever.
Really?
I've seen it. Yeah, I was watching.
It's like a synergy cross. Like I think they have it on. Andor was on Hulu and it was on FX and ABC, so the Disney-owned
Afterwards.
channels.
That's true. Afterwards. Okay, well, hold on. No. That's good, right? Mia, you're talking about it like it's a negative thing. Like, oh, they did this with Hulu.
No.
Good.
No.
I think that's a good thing.
Because they need subscribers. They need to make their money back.
They need
so
to
if
make
they
their
show
money back.
episode 1 of 2 of Andor on ABC, you know, where grandma's watching, maybe, she might be like, oh, okay, I should go and get a subscription. They get
at the very least, there's
$15, yeah.
And there's television ads happening in between, so you make back your money. You know when they need to do it? And I'll end with this point because I think it's a major point. They need to do it for premiering episodes. Don't just because it's a Disney Plus show, don't mean it needs to be on Disney Plus only. Premiere it 9:00 on ABC on a Sunday, like at an actual realistic hour. Play it on ABC. People will come and flock to watch it. You'll get your TV revenue. For those who can wait and want to have it on streaming, you put it on streaming. These are not competing markets. There is actually unique people who watch cable and television only, and unique people who watch streaming. And even the people who watch streaming and TV both, they're still gonna, I watch it live because I gotta be in on the conversation. I want to be tweeting all of my friends and see what's trending, and it's rather than at 3 a.m. when no one's really watching it in unity. I want to be able to do that, so you'll get the benefit of TV dollars, which is going to help pay for your show, which you're not really getting that much from streaming. And the customers don't mind because they'll actually be able to watch this at a time period you can actually have it. There's no concern about the bandwidth and the website being crashed because so many people are hopping on your Disney Plus streaming show right at 3 a.m., which it does happen because in the Pacific it is midnight. And if you're in the across the pond, 8 a.m. is when it airs. Like there's a lot of people who do flood that globally. They flood Disney Plus.
But Killmonger, the whole point of streaming is the exclusive content.
That's a bad point. Then I'm saying
the
point of streaming is accessibility.
But that's their selling point.
Stop selling that point. It's not a useful point because you still get everything you want.
Chapek thought that streaming was the future. Well, Iger did Disney Plus, but how they deployed Disney Plus was Chapek's thing. He thought he was going to be able to force the fandom, the subscribership exclusively to Disney Plus so that they can pump all of their content through there and abandon linear. That's why they gave up video on demand. That's why they gave up the DVDs and the Blu-ray licensing. They gave up all of that stuff because their thinking was, we'll release our content on our linear channels because they have 100 of them, right? And we'll pay ourselves back the fees that we need to make up the difference. Well, they got in trouble with that, right? With Chapek.
Black Widow.
And Black Widow was one of those as well. So they got in trouble now. They have to start making some actual money to convince people that they're not actually just paying for their own shows, right? In totality. So they have to have some hits.
They cut.
It's a good model and it's advantageous to Disney as a company, but it doesn't really do much for the content or the quality of the content.
These 3 a.m. releases is Disney's biggest mistake. The Last of Us is crushing it at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Bring back time. It's been proven.
Yeah.
Who disagrees with that? 9 p.m. Than what The Last of Us is doing. It works.
Yeah.
Conversation, word of mouth is more important to getting people to watch the movie. Go watch Top Gun Maverick. Go see what Avatar: The Way of Water. Word of mouth is carrying that thing into
on regular cable. On regular cable, you change the time slot of a show. That is usually the deathbed of the show.
Yeah.
Like actually fighting for like Thursday 8 p.m. or Friday at a certain time slot. Everybody fights for that because nobody's gonna watch a show on Monday at 7 p.m. or whatever because that's not the prime time slot.
You got to have it from 8 until 10, like 8, 9, or 10. One of those.
10.
Yeah.
Even if Mandalorian happened on TV, and if it was like at the unrealistically bad hours, even if it was on TV, I still think there's a little bit of money to make. And what's good about that is because it's on TV, no one can fast forward to the end of the episode and spoil Luke Skywalker returns at the end. Debut it on TV.
Why do they have the 3 a.m. release? Why is that a thing?
Because they don't want to flood the servers. They don't have confidence in their bandwidth.
That's
right. To expand their service, they have to have more subscribers because it's going to be more expensive, and they're not growing the way that they need to right now. So
they ought to have Mandalorian season 4 happening on TV live and see how we don't lose any subscribers and look at all the money that comes in from commercials.
Look at the time they're releasing The Last of Us. They're releasing at a great time. They're not waiting until midnight to drop it. They release at 6 p.m.
Pacific
Eastern time Pacific time. 6 p.m. Pacific time. And Eastern people, they get to watch it before they go to sleep. I think those would help too, because you like having those people stay up to actually watch it. Not saying
No, they stay up to actually watch it, and they don't actually get to talk about it at work because there's other guys who actually sleep. We're like, oh, like you can't tell me, man. Oh, you liked it? Okay, let's not talk about it.
Why are we doing that? WandaVision, and that's it.
They can do all that
earlier. It's a streaming service, and you can watch it anytime. Like you're not obligated to watch it at 3 a.m.
It was the excitement, Jaded. I know you haven't felt that in quite some time.
Well, blame the shows. Don't blame me. If
we're talking about
worth being excited about. I'd be excited for them.
We're talking about like those first time watchers because those numbers do reflect like the first people how many people that watch the episode, right? You have some people that won't watch it because it's like, dang, you release this, you're gonna drop this at 3 a.m. I'm finna be asleep. I got work.
Yeah.
You release it at like 12 a.m. Eastern time. Those people get to watch. Pacific people get to watch. You're gonna get more watchers because people will stay up until midnight at least and watch the episode for a couple minutes. They still got all them extra hours to go to sleep.
Our Wisconsin friend wants to be included. It's actually 2 a.m. over here.
It's 2 a.m. actually.
Right, you're from Illinois.
Because it's also confusing because these same streaming services are boasting the number of millions of views that they get in each episode, but then at the same time are releasing it where it's not going to have a lot of views because they don't want to risk the bandwidth. So it's like I really don't understand what they're doing.
Disney's numbers are terrible in terms of viewership. The number one show being streamed on Disney Plus is Bluey,
a kids show.
Yeah,
it's Bluey. It's my son's favorite cartoon.
Oh, it's a kid show.
It's an Australian cartoon that they purchased. They don't even make it. They didn't make it.
Not yet.
Oh wow.
They better.
Yeah, not yet. Right? Yeah, new season. They do with Bleach. They'll probably.
And that being revealed to the public, they're a laughing stock for the millions they're doing for these Marvel and Star Wars.
They're spending what 150 million a project on the TV shows. Mm-hmm. You can't beat the Australian dingo.
Exactly. Steve says here that these 3 a.m. releases, because he's on the Eastern Coast, he says that is Disney's biggest mistake. Oh, I already read this, right? Didn't I already read this? Yeah. So I think we're done with that topic. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Does anyone have last words? Tim, do you want to get something in that you didn't get to?
No, I think we covered it pretty much all.
Okay. Tim's Talk, SJK.Sanctum, Back of the Bus, Mia Johnson, Jaded Fanboy. Peace.